Hey folks, welcome back to True Crime Stories, where we cover the most thrilling true crime stories. Before we get going, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for me. Thanks. And now let's get into today's story.
Welcome back, deep divers. Today, we're diving into a case that's got it all. Small town secrets, a mysterious estate, and a murder that shook everyone to their core.
Sounds intriguing.
It is. We're heading to Ash Grove, Indiana. You know, picture-perfect, charming Victorian storefronts, the kind of town where everyone knows your name, your order at the local diner.
Mabel's place, right. I read about that in the witness testimonies.
That's the one. But beneath that charming facade, there's a darkness, a story that's both chilling and captivating. We're talking about the murder of Clara Thornton.
Ah, yes, the young novelist. Tragic case.
Absolutely tragic. We've got witness testimonies, forensic reports, even personal journals and news articles. So we're going to try to use all of this to really deep dive into what happened to Clara.
Sounds like we've got our work cut out for us.
We do. So Clara, she was ambitious, talented. She just graduated college and was full of dreams, big dreams of becoming a successful author. But instead of, chasing those dreams in the big city, she felt drawn back to Ash Grove.
It's interesting, isn't it? Almost like she was pulled back by some unseen force.
It is. And that's where this Holloway estate comes into play. It's a crumbling mansion, practically swallowed by overgrown gardens. It's shrouded in local legends, whispers of tragic events, unsolved mysteries.
It's the kind of place that just seems to ooze secrets.
Exactly. And Clara was completely fascinated by it. She was actually working on a novel inspired by the folklore and legends surrounding the estate, and she visited frequently, sketching in her notebook, really immersing herself in the atmosphere. It was like she was stepping right into the heart of the story she was trying to write.
I see. A story that sadly became all too real.
Because the estate wasn't just a source of inspiration for Clara, it became her final destination. Her body was found hidden beneath a trellis in those very gardens. It's like someone tried to make her just another forgotten secret of that place.
Chilling. And it completely shattered Ash Grove's peaceful facade.
Right. The case quickly became more complicated when we realized that this peaceful town actually had quite a few people who might have wanted Clara gone.
From what I gathered, there were quite a few simmering tensions and hidden resentments beneath that picture-perfect surface.
Absolutely. Let's start with Adrian Miller, the ex-boyfriend. He was an artist, talented, but known to be a bit volatile. The breakup hit him hard, and there were whispers that he was struggling to cope, maybe even harboring some jealousy towards Clara and her success.
Makes sense. Heartbreak and jealousy can be a dangerous mix.
For sure. Then there's Violet Lang, the town archivist. Now, she was fiercely protective of Ash Grove's history, those carefully curated stories she guarded in the town archives.
I bet she wasn't too thrilled about a young novelist digging into the town's darker side, maybe uncovering secrets best left buried.
You got it. She saw Clara's interest in those darker stories as a threat, like she was disrupting the carefully crafted image of Ash Grove.
A threat to the status quo. I've seen that kind of dynamic play out before.
It can be powerful, can it? And let's not forget about Carson Blake, the mayor's son. He had charm, influence, but also, sources say, a bit of a bruised ego. Word on the street is that Clara rejected his advances.
Oh, I see where this is going. Rejection, especially from someone you think is beneath you, can fester into something pretty nasty.
Right. And then we have Leela King, Clara's childhood friend turned rival. They were both writers, both ambitious, but Clara's star was rising, while Leela was still struggling to find her voice.
The complexities of female friendship, especially when you add competition and envy to the mix, it can be a recipe for disaster.
No kidding. So we've got a heartbroken ex, a protective archivist, a scorned son, and a jealous friend. Quite the lineup, right?
Quite a lineup indeed. It seems like everyone in Ash Grove had some kind of connection to Clara, some kind of motive that could have potentially led them to do something drastic, and now we have to figure out who did.
And that's where Detective Clara Jensen comes in. She was Ash Grove's first female detective. Tough, determined, and ready to uncover the truth. But this wasn't just your average investigation. She had to navigate the complex dynamics of small-town life, the gossip mill, the whispers, the long-held grudges.
Small towns can be like pressure cookers, can't they? Secrets are hard to keep, rumors spread like wildfire, and everyone knows everyone's business.
Absolutely. But Detective Jensen had help. Enter Evelyn Harper.
The child psychologist, right.
Yes. Now, it might seem strange to have a child psychologist involved in a murder investigation, but Evelyn had a unique perspective. She was drawn back to Ash Grove after a personal tragedy, seeking a fresh start. And she had this amazing ability to understand human behavior, to see the hidden anxieties, the unspoken fears, especially in children.
I'm starting to see how she could be a valuable asset to the investigation. Children often pick up on things adults miss. Their perceptions aren't clouded by the same biases or preconceived notions.
Right. And she used art therapy with some of the kids who lived near Holloway Estate.
Fascinating. Unlocking memories and fears through art.
Exactly. They drew pictures, told stories, and revealed details about the estate, the night of the murder, things that traditional investigative methods might have missed.
So we've got our suspects, a determined detective, and a child psychologist with a unique approach. But what about the hard evidence? What do the forensic reports tell us about what happened to Clara?
Well, the forensic evidence was crucial in this case. It helped piece together the puzzle, and it painted a pretty grim picture. Let's start with Clara's phone. It was found discarded near the estate.
Did they recover anything from it?
They did. The last few messages hinted at a confrontation. And the DNA samples collected at the scene, particularly those found under Clara's fingernails, suggested a violent struggle.
It sounds like Clara fought back. Did they find a match for the DNA?
They did, but we'll get to that later. And then there were the soil and grass particles embedded in Clara's clothing.
Placing her at a specific location?
Yes, near that trellis where her body was found.
And what about the autopsy? What was the cause of death?
Blunt force trauma to the head. The report suggested a swift, brutal attack, and the location of the wound indicated the assailant likely attacked from behind.
A surprise attack.
It seems that way. All the evidence points to a chilling conclusion. Clara's death was no accident. She was murdered. And someone in Ash Grove was trying to keep it quiet, hide the truth beneath those charming Victorian facades. But Detective Jensen and Evelyn Harper, they weren't going to let that happen. They were determined to unravel the truth, no matter how tangled or unsettling it might be. And the deeper they dug, the more they realized that this case was about more than just solving a murder. It was about exposing the dark underbelly of a town that had been hiding its secrets for far too long.
So we're back in Ash Grove. Secrets are starting to surface, and everyone's a suspect.
Yeah, and remember, we left off with those forensic findings, suggesting a violent struggle. Let's get into those witness interviews. Detective Jensen had a lot of ground to cover. First up, Adrian.
The heartbroken ex, I bet that was an emotionally charged interview.
It was. I mean, you can hear it in his voice in the transcripts. He's clearly devastated by the breakup, struggling to let go. Claims he was at a gig the night Claire disappeared, but his alibi, flimsy at best.
And I bet those DNA results didn't help his case.
Not one bit. Remember those skin cells found under Claire's fingernails?
Yeah.
They matched Adrian's DNA.
So he was definitely at the scene. Did he confess?
Well, at first he was defensive, denied everything. You can imagine, right? The pressure, the accusations, the mounting evidence. But as the interview went on, the cracks started to show.
Makes sense. It's hard to keep up a facade when the truth is closing in on you.
Exactly. Let's move on to Violet Lang, the town archivist. Remember, she was fiercely protective of Ash Grove's history, its reputation.
Oh, she's the one who saw Clara's fascination with the town's darker side as a threat.
Exactly. She's all about preserving the image of Ash Grove as this idyllic, charming place. But during the interview, she actually goes a step further. She starts talking about Clara with this subtle but cutting disdain, almost blaming her for what happened.
Blaming the victim. Wow.
Yeah. And get this. She suggests that maybe Clara's death was some kind of karmic retribution for, disturbing the town's past.
Like she believed in those local legends about curses and restless spirits.
It's hard to tell if she truly believed it or was just trying to deflect suspicion.
Yeah.
But it definitely reveals a lot about how she saw the world, right? This deep-seated need to protect the town's image, even if it means twisting the truth.
Fascinating. Okay, what about Carson Blake, the mayor's son? We talked about him having a bruised ego after being rejected by Clara. How did he handle the interrogation?
Well, from the transcripts, he was all charm and composure, playing the role of the cooperative witness. But Detective Jensen wasn't buying it.
I bet she saw right through that facade.
Oh, yeah. She pressed him on his alibi, which was full of holes, by the way, and his composure started to crack. You could sense the anger and resentment simmering beneath the surface. This guy wasn't used to being questioned, let alone by a woman who didn't care about his family's influence.
It's interesting how power dynamics can shift in these situations. Detective Jensen was challenging the status quo just by being there, by doing her job.
For sure. Now, let's talk about Leela King, the childhood friend turned rival. That interview, wow, that was a tough one.
I bet. So much unspoken history between them, those whispers of envy and resentment.
It's all there, in her voice, in her words. She admits to feeling jealous of Clara's success, acknowledges the competitive tension, but there's also this sadness, this regret that their friendship had become so poisoned by their ambitions.
It's a good reminder that those comparisons, they can steal our joy, can't they?
Absolutely.
Duh.
They both wanted the same things, both talented writers, but in a small town like Ash Grove, those dreams can feel like a zero-sum game.
Only one winner, one success story.
Right. So we've got 4 suspects, all with their own secrets, their own reasons to want Clara out of the picture. Heartbreak, jealousy, a need to protect their image, the fear of being exposed. But as the investigation progressed, Detective Jensen and Evelyn Harper, they started to hone in on one suspect in particular.
Adrian. The DNA evidence, his shaky alibi, his emotional state, it all added up.
Exactly. And eventually, under the weight of all that evidence, he confessed. He admitted to going to Holloway Estate that night, wanting to talk to Clara, to try and win her back. He saw her with Carson. Jealousy took over, they argued. And in a fit of rage, he struck her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he hit her with a garden tool. It was a crime of passion, a moment of reckless anger that ended in tragedy.
Heartbreaking. But even with the confession, the case wasn't closed, right? The trial brought its own set of challenges.
Oh yeah, the trial was a whole other beast. It's like the
Oh.
whole town was on trial, forced to confront the darkness that had been lurking beneath the surface. So we're back. Adrian's confessed, the trial's over, but Ash Grove, well, it's forever changed. This case really makes you think about small-town life, doesn't it? Like, on the surface, it's all apple pie and porch swings, but underneath, there's this pressure, these expectations.
It's a fascinating dynamic, isn't it? That sense of community, everyone knowing everyone. It can be comforting, but also stifling.
Totally. Especially for someone like Clara, ambitious, dreaming big. Maybe those dreams felt out of place in Ash Grove.
And for Adrian, too. Maybe he felt trapped by those expectations. Small towns can have a way of making you feel like you have to follow a certain path.
Yeah, and straying from that path, well, people notice. They talk.
And that judgment, it can be heavy, can't it?
It can be crushing. And, this case also really highlights something we don't talk about enough: mental health.
Absolutely. Adrian was clearly struggling, but it seems like those struggles were ignored, dismissed.
Like, mental health is this taboo topic, especially in a place where everyone's supposed to be fine.
It's a dangerous misconception, isn't it? Like seeking help is a sign of weakness. But the truth is, it takes incredible strength to reach out, to ask for support.
And sometimes it's the difference between life and death. I mean, what if someone had noticed Adrian's struggles? What if he'd felt comfortable asking for help?
It's a painful question to ponder, but it underscores the importance of creating communities where mental health is talked about openly, without shame.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We need to shift that mindset, right? Seeking help is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength, of self-awareness. It's a sign that you're willing to fight for your well-being.
Couldn't agree more. But even amidst all this darkness, this tragedy, there were glimmers of hope, right? People choosing to confront the pain, to heal, to build a better future.
Evelyn Harper, she stayed in Ash Grove, dedicated herself to helping the community heal. That's powerful, She didn't turn away from the darkness.
And Claire's family, they channeled their grief into something positive. That foundation they started in her name, promoting mental health awareness, providing resources for young people, that's legacy right there.
It is turning tragedy into a force for good, choosing hope over despair. It's a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of times, we have a choice: to be consumed by the darkness or to seek out the light.
And that choice, it ripples outward, doesn't it? It impacts not just ourselves, but our communities, the world around us.
This case, it's been a journey, hasn't it? From those charming Victorian facades to the secrets lurking beneath, from a brutal murder to a community struggling to heal. We've talked about small-town pressures, mental health, the power of choice. But more than anything, I hope this deep dive has left you with something to think about, something to discuss, something to carry with you.
Remember, the whispers of the forgotten are all around us. The question is, will we listen? Will we choose to act?
That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, stay curious, stay engaged, and keep asking those tough questions.